One wrong look, one sharp word, one moment where silence breaks in, everything explodes. In Tulsa King Season 3, confrontations are no longer slow or planned. They hit fast, they hit hard, and they leave no room to walk away. Every clash feels personal, every stare feels like a threat, and every meeting can turn violent in seconds. This season proves one thing very clearly. Respect is no longer. Season 3 opens with a heavy feeling hanging over too. LSA, the calm that once gave Dwight time to think is gone. The streets feel tighter, the rooms feel smaller, and every conversation feels like it could turn into a fight. Dwight can sense it the moment he walks into a room. People no longer listen because they believe in him. They listen because they are afraid of what happens if they don't. That change makes every confrontation sharper and more dangerous than before. In earlier seasons, Dwight used words as his main weapon. He talked, he warned, and he gave chances. Season 3 shows that those days are over. Now, confrontations begin with tension instead of respect. A simple meeting turns cold when eyes lock and no one blinks first. Silence becomes louder than shouting. Every pause feels like the calm before a storm. And when the storm hits, it hits without mercy. What makes these confrontations intense is not just the punches or the threats. It is the emotion behind them. Dwight is no longer fighting to build something. He is fighting to keep it from being taken away. That fear pushes him into corners where violence feels like the only answer. Each face-off carries anger, frustration, and the pressure of knowing that weakness will be punished instantly. The people around Dwight feel it too. Old allies are nervous, new players are bold and reckless. Everyone is testing limits, pushing boundaries, and daring Dwight to react. Confrontations feel like traps, set to see if he still has control or if he has lost his edge. Even a calm conversation feels dangerous because nobody trusts calm anymore. Season 3 makes it clear that violence is no longer a last option. It is the first response. Fists speak before words finish. Threats are no longer hidden behind smiles. When Dwight stands his ground, it is not just to prove power, it is to survive. Each confrontation leaves marks, not just on bodies, but on trust, loyalty, and control. By the end of this section, one truth becomes clear. Tulsa is no longer a place where deals are made quietly. It is a battlefield where every confrontation decides who stays standing and who falls. And as Season 3 moves forward, the fights only get closer, more personal, and far more brutal. G are given, it is taken by force. Season 3 pushes Dwight into a world that no longer recognizes his past or respects his name. New power players step into Tulsa with no history, no fear, and no patience. They don't care who Dwight used to be or what he survived. To them, he is just another man standing in the way of control. Every confrontation with these newcomers feels sharp and direct, like a challenge thrown right at his feet. These new faces move fast and hit hard. They don't test the waters with long talks or slow threats. They walk in already ready for conflict. Meetings that should stay calm quickly turn tense. With voices rising and patience breaking, Dwight realizes that these people are not looking for deals. They are looking for weakness. One wrong move, one sign of doubt, and they will take everything he has built. What makes these confrontations more dangerous is how public they become. Power is no longer discussed behind closed doors. It is challenged in open spaces where everyone is watching. Every stare becomes a message. Every step forward feels like a claim on territory. Dwight knows that backing down, even for a moment, would send the wrong signal, so he stands firm even when the pressure starts to crush him. The new power players use fear as their main tool. They spread chaos to force reactions. They push Dwight into corners, hoping he will strike first and lose control. These confrontations are not just physical, they are mental battles. Dwight has to stay calm while his enemies try to pull him into reckless violence, but staying calm becomes harder when insults turn personal and threats hit close to home. As the season moves forward, these clashes grow more aggressive. A simple warning turns into a shove. A shove turns into a fight. Each confrontation leaves behind bruises, broken trust, and new enemies. Dwight learns that these power players are not interested in peace. They only understand force, and they only respect those who refuse to bend. The tension builds because Dwight is fighting on multiple fronts. While handling these new threats, he must also keep his own crew in line. Fear spreads fast, and confidence is fragile. Every confrontation with an outsider creates doubt inside his circle. People start asking if Dwight can really protect them or if his time is running out. By the end of this section, it becomes clear that Tulsa is under attack from all sides. The old balance is gone, territory is no longer stable, and loyalty is constantly tested. Dwight stands in the middle of it all, facing enemies who are hungry, fearless, and ready to burn everything down. These confrontations are not just battles for power. They are warnings that the war for Tulsa has truly begun. Season 3 takes a darker turn when danger no longer comes from outside. The most painful confrontations begin inside Dwight's own circle. These are not strangers or rivals. These are people who once stood beside him, shared plans with him, and promised loyalty. When trust starts to crack, the damage cuts deeper than any punch ever could at first. The signs are small, quiet looks that last too long, conversations that stop when Dwight walks in, excuses that don't sound right anymore. Dwight feels it before he can prove it. Something is off, and the tension keeps growing. Every meeting feels heavier because he knows betrayal never arrives loudly. It creeps in, waits, and strikes when no one is ready. When the truth finally comes out, it does not arrive with words. It arrives with anger, voices rise, accusations fly, and emotions spill out without control. These confrontations feel raw because they are personal. There is no mask, no calm tone, no respect left. Old wounds reopen, and every hidden feeling rushes to the surface. The pain of betrayal turns simple arguments into violent explosions. What makes these moments intense is how close they are. There is no distance, no safety. Faces are inches apart, breathing heavy. Eyes burning with rage. Each shove carries years of trust being destroyed. Each punch feels like a broken promise. These confrontations are not about power or money anymore. They are about pride, hurt, and the need to feel in control again. Dwight struggles the most during these moments. Fighting an enemy is easy when you expect it. Fighting someone you once trusted leaves scars that don't heal. He is forced to question his own judgment, wondering how he missed the signs and who else might turn against him next. These confrontations shake his confidence more than any outside threat. As betrayal spreads, fear follows. Other members of the crew start watching each other instead of focusing on the real enemy. Whispers replace trust. Loyalty feels fragile, and everyone is worried about being the next target. Confrontations become quicker and more violent because patience is gone. No one feels safe enough to wait for proof. By the end of this section, Dwight learns a painful truth. Enemies on the outside want his territory, but enemies on the inside want his place. These confrontations change him. He becomes colder, more careful, and less forgiving. The damage is done, and there is no way back to how things were. From this point on, every alliance feels temporary, and every friendly face carries a question mark. Season 3 tightens the grip when the loss starts closing in from every direction. Dwight is no longer just dealing with rivals and traitors. Now, he is facing constant pressure from people who do not need fear or loyalty to move against him. The law watches, waits, and slowly squeezes, turning every step into a risk and every decision into a possible mistake. These confrontations feel different because they are quieter, but far more dangerous. There are no shouting matches or open threats. Instead, there are calm questions, long pauses, and sharp looks that carry hidden meaning. A simple conversation can feel like an interrogation. Dwight knows that one wrong word can destroy everything he has built, and that fear makes every encounter tense. law enforcement uses time as a weapon. They don't rush. They let pressure build until cracks begin to show. They sit across from Dwight with calm faces, letting silence do the work. Each pause feels heavy, forcing him to choose between protecting himself or protecting his people. These confrontations test his control more than any fight ever could. The danger increases when these moments turn physical. Without warning, a calm stop on the street turns aggressive. A routine visit turns into a search. When law and crime collide, there is no room for negotiation. Every move becomes about survival. Dwight is pushed into reactions that draw attention, even when he knows staying quiet would be safer. What makes these confrontations intense is the lack of escape. You can fight rivals. You can remove traitors, but you cannot make the law disappear. Every interaction feels like walking on thin ice. Dwight feels the walls closing in, and that pressure forces him into riskier choices. Violence becomes a response to fear, not strength. These moments also affect the people around him. His crew becomes nervous, jumpy, and careless. The constant presence of the law creates tension inside the group, leading to mistakes and sudden reactions. Small problems turn into big ones because no one feels calm anymore. Confrontations happen faster, with less thought and more damage done by the end of this section. It is clear that the law has changed the game. Dwight is no longer just fighting for power. He is fighting against time. Each confrontation leaves him with fewer options and more enemies. The pressure builds to a breaking point, and it becomes obvious that something is going to explode. The question is not if it will happen, but when and who will be left standing when it does. Season 3 reaches its breaking point when one confrontation goes further than all the others. This is not a warning, not a test, and not a show of power. This is the moment where control slips and violence takes over completely. Everything that has been building through fear, pressure, and betrayal explodes at once. The tension leading into this face-off is heavy and uncomfortable. There is no room for talk anymore. The air feels thick, and every second stretches longer than it should. Both sides know what is coming, and neither one plans to step back. There is no pride left in this moment, only anger and survival. When it begins, it happens fast and without mercy. What makes this confrontation different is how personal it feels. This is not about territory or money. It is about respect that has been shattered and lines that were never meant to be crossed. Every hit carries rage built over time. Every move feels desperate, as if both sides know there is no going back once this ends. Dwight is pushed to a place he has been trying to avoid all season. His choices in this moment are not smart or calm. They are raw and emotional. He reacts instead of plans, driven by pain and frustration. This face-off forces him to face what he is becoming, and the answer is not easy to accept. The brutality of this confrontation leaves a mark on everyone involved. The damage is not just physical. It changes how people see Dwight and how he sees himself. Fear spreads fast after this moment. Allies begin to question his limits, and enemies realize just how far he is willing to go. Respect now comes from fear, not loyalty. When the confrontation ends, there is no sense of victory. The silence that follows feels empty and heavy. Something important is lost in this moment, and it cannot be recovered. Dwight stands in the aftermath knowing that the rules have changed forever. He crossed a line, and there is no way to pretend otherwise. By the end of this section, it becomes clear that this face-off is a turning point. The future will be shaped by what happened here. Every confrontation after this will be harsher, colder, and more dangerous. The cost of power is now fully clear, and it is far higher than anyone expected. After the violence settles, Tulsa does not return to normal. It never does. Season 3 shows that every brutal confrontation leaves behind a new order. Even if no one admits it out loud, the bloodshed changes how people move, how they speak, and who they fear. Power does not disappear after violence. It shifts quietly and dangerously. Dwight feels this shift immediately. The looks he gets are different now. Some are filled with fear, others with doubt. The brutal face-off sends a clear message. But messages like that come with a price. People begin to question if following him is safety or a risk. Power built on fear is strong, but it is also unstable. One wrong move can cause it to collapse. New players take advantage of the chaos. Where there is blood, there is opportunity. Small figures step out of the shadows, testing the ground left cracked by violence. They do not rush. They watch. They wait for signs of weakness. Every confrontation from this point on feels calculated, as if someone is always measuring how far Dwight can still be pushed inside Dwight's crew. The shift is even more dangerous. Loyalty becomes silent instead of spoken. People follow orders, but their eyes tell a different story. Fear keeps them in line, but it also keeps them distant. Conversations grow shorter. Trust becomes rare. Confrontations no longer explode loudly, they simmer, waiting for the right moment to boil over. The law also senses the change. Violence leaves trails, and pressure increases. Every move Dwight makes feels watched. The space he once had to breathe is gone. Each confrontation now risks bringing consequences that cannot be fixed. Power feels heavier because it is harder to carry without slipping. What makes this phase intense is the uncertainty. No one knows who truly controls Tulsa anymore. Power feels temporary, like it can be taken at any moment. Dwight stands at the center of it all, aware that strength alone will not save him. He must adapt or be replaced. Every decision becomes slower, more careful, and more dangerous. By the end of this section, it is clear that bloodshed does not end conflict, it reshapes it. The confrontations ahead will not be wild or reckless. They will be cold, planned, and unforgiving. Tulsa has changed, and so has Dwight. The war is quieter now, but far more deadly than before.